The velvet box felt wrong in my hands the moment I picked it up. Too light, too hollow. My engagement ring, the stunning 3-carat diamond Bruno had proposed with just months ago, was gone. I stood frozen in my bedroom, staring at the empty indent where it should have been nestled safely while I showered. My name is Esther, and I never thought my own sister would betray me like this. "Mom," I called out, my voice cracking as I rushed down the stairs. "Mom, have you seen my ring? Did you move it?" My mother looked up from her coffee, perfectly manicured nails wrapped around her favorite mug. "What do you mean, honey? Isn't it in your room?" "The box is empty." I thrust it toward her, hands shaking. "I always put it there when I shower, always." "Maybe you misplaced it." She barely glanced at the box. "You've been so scattered lately with all the wedding planning." That's when I heard it, the distinct sound of Sofia's laughter floating in from the backyard. My stomach dropped as I moved to the window. There she was, on her phone, twirling something that caught the sunlight. "Sofia," I stormed outside, screen door slamming behind me. "What are you doing with my ring?" She turned, and I saw it clear as day on her left hand. My ring, my 3-carat princess-cut diamond that Bruno had spent months saving for. "Oh, hey, sis." She smiled. That same sweet smile she'd used to get away with everything since we were kids. "Isn't it beautiful? Zane proposed last night." The world tilted sideways. "That's my ring." "Don't be ridiculous," she laughed, but her eyes darted away. "Zane picked it out himself." "Sophia Howard, take it off right now." My voice was steady, despite the rage building inside me. "That is my engagement ring, and you know it." "What's all this shouting about?" Our father appeared at the door, Mom right behind him. "Sophia stole my engagement ring," I said, turning to them. "She's trying to pass it off as her own." "Daddy, tell her to stop." Sophia's lower lip trembled. "Why would I steal her ring? Zane proposed to me. He bought this." "Now, Esther," Mom stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. "Your sister just got engaged. This should be a happy moment." I jerked away from her touch. "Are you serious right now? That is my ring." "It looks different than yours," Dad said, squinting at Sophia's hand. "The setting's not quite the same, is it?" "Because she had it altered," I was shouting now, my voice echoing across the yard. "Call Bruno, call the jeweler. That is my ring." "Honey," Mom's voice took on that patronizing tone I'd grown to hate. "You're making a scene. Sophia and Zane are in love. They're getting married. Can't you just be happy for your sister?" I looked between them, Mom's dismissive expression, Dad's uncomfortable avoidance, and Sophia's triumphant smirk, poorly disguised as innocence. 25 years of watching them favor her, excuse her, protect her, and somehow I was still surprised. "You know what?" I pulled out my phone. "Let's call Zane right now. Let's ask him where he bought the ring." Sophia's face went white. He's busy at work." "Perfect. I'll leave a message." I hit the call button, watching her squirm. "Stop it." She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "Fine. I borrowed it, okay?" But Zane was going to propose, and we couldn't afford anything nice, and you have everything. The perfect job, the perfect fiancé, the perfect life. "Sophia," Mom hissed, but the truth was out. I looked at my parents, waiting for their reaction, waiting for them to finally hold their precious baby accountable. Instead, Mom wrapped an arm around Sophia's shoulders. "We'll sort this out as a family," she said firmly. "There's no need to involve Zane or make this public. Sophia made a mistake, but her intentions were pure. Love makes people do crazy things." "Pure intentions?" I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. "She stole my engagement ring." "We'll replace it," Dad offered quickly. "A newer one, even better." "That's not the point." I was trembling now, tears threatening to fall. "She stole from me, lied about it, and you're defending her, again." "Esther, please," Mom sighed. "Don't be dramatic. We can fix this." I looked at my sister, still wearing my ring, still protected in our mother's embrace. Something inside me hardened. A lifetime of being the reasonable one, crystallizing into resolve. You're right, Mom, I said quietly. We can fix this, and I will. I turned and walked away, their calls fading behind me. They had no idea what was coming, but they were about to learn that karma has a way of collecting its debts. And I was going to make sure it did. I spent the night at Kimberly's apartment, my phone buzzing with ignored messages from my family. The next morning, I walked into my parents' house with purpose, finding them all gathered in the kitchen, like nothing had happened. "Oh good, you're back," Mom said, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter. "We were worried." "Were you?" I remained standing. "Or were you hoping I'd cool off and let this go like always?" Sofia sat at the table, my ring still gleaming on her finger. She at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Sweetheart," Dad began, "we've been talking, and we think—" "No," I cut him off. "You don't get to think anything. That ring is mine, and Sofia is going to take it off right now." "Actually," Mom straightened her spine, "we've decided to help Sofia and Zane buy you a new ring, a better one. This way, everyone wins." I stared at her, incredulous. "Everyone wins? My sister stole from me, lied to her boyfriend, and you want to reward her?" "It's not rewarding," Sofia piped up. "Zane loves me, and this ring, it just feels right on my finger, like it was meant to be mine." "You're delusional." I turned to our parents. "And you're enabling her, again." "Now that's enough," Dad's voice rose. "We're trying to find a solution here. The only solution is Sofia returning what she stole and facing consequences for once in her life." My phone rang, cutting through the tension. Unknown number. I answered it, turning away from my family's stares. "Is this Esther?" a man's voice asked. "This is James from Crystal Jewelers. We have a situation regarding a ring purchase." My heart raced. "Yes, I'm Esther. What kind of situation?" "A young woman brought in a ring for resizing yesterday. Matches the description of one we sold to a Mr. Bruno Grant 3 months ago. She claimed it was a gift from her boyfriend, but something felt off. We keep detailed records of our sales, especially for pieces of this value." I put the phone on speaker, locking eyes with Sofia. "Go on." "Well, when we checked the serial number, it matched Mr. Grant's purchase. The young woman gave her name as Sofia, said her boyfriend was named Zane. But our records show this ring belongs to you." Sofia jumped up. "You had no right to check." "I had every right," I snapped, before addressing James. "Thank you for calling. That ring was stolen from me by my sister. She's trying to pass it off as her own engagement ring." The silence in the kitchen was deafening. "I see," James said carefully. "In that case, we'll need proper documentation of ownership before proceeding with any alterations, and you may want to file a police report." "No police," Mom burst out. "We can handle this privately." "Thank you, James," I said firmly. "I'll bring in the original receipt and documentation today." I hung up and faced my family. Sofia's face had gone from pale to red. Mom looked like she might faint, and Dad couldn't meet my eyes. "Still want to claim it was a gift from Zane?" I asked Sofia. "You're just jealous," she exploded. "You can't stand that I'm happy, that someone wants to marry me too." "Happy?" I laughed. "You think building a marriage on theft and lies will make you happy. Enough." Mom slammed her hand on the counter. "Sofia made a mistake, but involving jewelers and threatening police reports? That's going too far, Esther. We raised you better than this." "No, Mom. You raised me to be the responsible one, the understanding one, while Sofia got away with everything." "Well, not this time. Please," Sofia's voice cracked. "Zane will leave me if he finds out. You know how he is about honesty. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back. You should have thought about that before stealing my ring and lying to everyone." I grabbed my purse. "I'm going to the jeweler, then I'm calling Zane." "You can't." Sofia lunged forward, grabbing my arm. "Mom, Dad, stop her." Dad finally spoke, his voice tired. "Let her go, Sofia. This has gone too far." "But she'll ruin everything," Sofia wailed. I pulled free from her grip. "No, you ruined everything. I'm just making sure the truth comes out." As I walked out, Mom called after me. "If you do this, you'll tear this family apart." I paused at the door, looking back at them one last time. "No, Mom, you and Sofia did that the moment you decided theft and lies were acceptable, as long as your favorite daughter got what she wanted." The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. My phone buzzed, a text from the jeweler, confirming they had located my purchase records. Perfect. It was time to show my sister that karma doesn't care about being the family favorite. "I can't believe they're actually defending her," Kimberly said, sliding a glass of wine across her kitchen counter to me. "I mean, I can, because it's your family, but still." I took a long sip, the receipt from Crystal Jewelers spread out in front of me. You should have seen Sophia's face when the jeweler called. Like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar, except the cookie is a 3-carat diamond worth 20 grand. "So what's the plan?" Kimberly leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with that look she gets when she's ready for action. "Please tell me you're going nuclear on this." My phone buzzed, another text from Sofia. "Please don't do this. I'll explain everything to Zane myself." "Yeah, right," I muttered, showing Kimberly the message. "She's just trying to buy time to spin another lie," Kimberly said. "You know that, right?" The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Kimberly peeked through the peephole and turned to me with wide eyes. "It's your mom." "Of course it is." I stood up, squaring my shoulders. "Let her in." Mom burst through the door like she owned the place, designer purse swinging. "Esther, we need to talk, alone. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of Kim." Mom's lips tightened. "Fine." "Sofia is devastated. She's been throwing up all morning, crying about how you're trying to ruin her life." "That's rich," I laughed. "She steals my engagement ring, lies to everyone, and somehow I'm the bad guy." "She made a mistake." Mom threw up her hands. "We're offering to make it right. Your father already called the jewelry store. We can get you an upgraded ring, bigger than the original." "It's not about the ring anymore, Mom. It's about Sofia facing consequences for once in her life, by destroying her relationship, by bringing shame to this family." Kimberly snorted. "The only shame is how you're enabling a thief." Mom's head snapped toward her. "This is a family matter." "No," I said firmly. "This stopped being just a family matter when Sofia dragged Zane into her lies. He deserves to know what kind of person he's planning to marry." "She loves him," Mom pleaded. "She was desperate. You know how much she's struggled while you've had everything handed to you." "Handed to me?" I slammed my wine glass down. "I worked my ass off for everything I have. I put myself through grad school. I built my career. I found a good man who loves me. None of that was handed to me." "Your sister." "My sister is a thief who's about to learn that actions have consequences." I pulled out my phone. "In fact, let's call Zane right now." "Don't you dare." Mom lunged for my phone, but Kimberly stepped between us. "Mrs. Howard," Kimberly's voice was ice cold. "I suggest you step back." My phone was already ringing. 1 ring. 2 rings. 3. "Hello?" Zane's voice came through, clear and confused. "Zane, it's Esther. We need to talk about Sofia's engagement ring." "Esther, please." Mom's voice cracked with desperation. "What about it?" Zane asked. "Is something wrong?" "I need you to meet me at Crystal Jewelers in an hour. There's something you need to see." A pause. "Okay, should Sofia come too?" "No," I said firmly, watching Mom's face crumple. "Just you." After hanging up, Mom stared at me like I was a stranger. "I never thought you could be so cruel." "Cruel?" I laughed. "Cruel is watching your daughter steal from her sister and helping her cover it up. Cruel is letting Sofia lie to an innocent man about something as important as their engagement. Cruel is standing in someone else's home, trying to guilt-trip them into accepting more family betrayal." "You've changed," Mom whispered. "No, I've finally had enough. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting at the jewelry store." Mom grabbed my arm as I moved past her. "If you do this, don't expect to be welcome at home anymore." I gently removed her hand. "That's fine." I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who think love means enabling theft and lies. After Mom left, Kimberly hugged me tight. You okay? Actually, yeah. I picked up the receipt, my proof of ownership. For the first time in forever, I feel like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. Want me to come with you to meet Zane? I shook my head. No, this is something I need to do alone. But keep your phone on. Something tells me Sofia is going to put on quite a show when she finds out what's happening. As I gathered my things to leave, my phone lit up with a text from Sofia. You'll regret this. I showed it to Kimberly, who raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a threat. No, I smiled, slipping the receipt into my purse. It sounds like someone who's finally about to face reality, and I can't wait to see it happen. Zane was already waiting outside Crystal Jewelers when I arrived, hands stuffed in his pockets, looking confused and concerned. I'd always liked him. He was honest, hardworking, and genuinely good. Everything my sister didn't deserve. Hey, he said, shifting nervously. What's going on? Sofia's been calling me non-stop, but she won't say what's wrong. Let's go inside first. I held the door open. There's something you need to see. James, the jeweler who had called me, looked up as we entered. Recognition flashed across his face. Ah, Esther, and this must be Zane, I said. Sofia's boyfriend. James's expression tightened. I see. Do you have the documentation I requested? I pulled out the receipt and original purchase records, laying them on the counter. Right here. What documentation? Zane stepped closer, peering at the papers. What is all this? The proof of purchase for that engagement ring Sofia's wearing, I said quietly. The one you supposedly bought her. His face went blank. What are you talking about? Of course I bought her ring. James cleared his throat. Sir, this receipt shows this ring was purchased by Bruno Grant 3 months ago. It was sold as an engagement ring for Esther. Zane's face drained of color. He picked up the receipt, hands shaking slightly. There must be some mistake, Sofia said. Sofia lied, I said gently. She stole my engagement ring while I was in the shower, then tried to pass it off as a gift from you. No. He shook his head. No, she wouldn't. The bell above the door chimed. We all turned to see Sofia burst in, face streaked with tears, our mother right behind her. Zane, baby, don't listen to her. Sofia rushed forward, grabbing his arm. She's just jealous. She's trying to ruin everything. Is it true? Zane's voice was deadly quiet. Did you steal this ring? Of course not. I would never. The serial number matches, James interrupted, pointing to the documentation. And we have the original security footage of Mr. Grant's purchase, if you'd like to see it. Sofia's grip on Zane's arm tightened. Baby, please, I can explain everything. Explain what? Zane jerked away from her. Explain how you stole your sister's engagement ring? Explain how you've been lying to me about where it came from. I did it for us. Sofia's voice rose hysterically. We've been together for 2 years, and you never proposed. I saw how happy Esther was with her ring, and I wanted that for us. So you stole it? Zane's face hardened. You committed a crime and lied to my face about it. Mom! Sofia turned to our mother. Tell them how it's not that simple. Mom stepped forward, but Zane held up his hand. With all due respect, Mrs. Howard, I don't want to hear it. I've watched you excuse Sofia's behavior for 2 years, and now I understand why she thinks this is okay. Zane, please, Sofia sobbed. I love you. Love doesn't steal, he said, his voice breaking. Love doesn't lie. He turned to me. I'm so sorry, Esther. I had no idea. It's not your fault, I said softly. Take it off, he told Sofia. Now. No. She clutched her hand to her chest. You can't make me. Actually, James spoke up. If you don't remove that ring voluntarily, we'll have to involve the police. Theft over $5,000 is a serious crime. Sofia's face crumpled as she slowly pulled the ring off, dropping it on the counter like it burned her. James picked it up, examining it carefully before handing it to me. The setting's been altered, he noted. but we can restore it to its original state within a week. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Sofia spat at me. To humiliate me? To ruin my life? No. I slipped my ring into my purse. I wanted the truth to come out. Everything else is just consequences of your own actions. Zane moved toward the door, pausing to look back at Sofia one last time. Don't call me. Don't text me. We're done. Zane. Sofia tried to follow him, but Mom held her back as he walked out. Are you happy now? Mom glared at me. You've destroyed your sister's relationship. No, Mom. Sofia destroyed it herself. And if you'd ever held her accountable for anything, maybe she wouldn't be in this situation. I turned to James. Thank you for your help. I'll be back next week for the ring. As I walked out, I heard Sofia's sobs and Mom's attempts to console her. But for the first time, I felt no guilt, no obligation to make things right. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them face the music they've been playing all along. 3 days after the jewelry store confrontation, Dad showed up at my apartment. His shoulders were slumped, his usual confident posture replaced by something that looked a lot like defeat. Can I come in? He asked quietly. I stepped aside, letting him enter. He settled onto my couch, looking around at the boxes I'd been packing. You're really moving out of the house? I can't stay there anymore, I said, sitting across from him. Not after everything. He nodded slowly. Sofia hasn't left her room since that day. Your mother's beside herself. And how are you, Dad? He met my eyes for the first time. Ashamed. Of myself, mostly. I've been doing a lot of thinking about how we got here. The front door opened, and Bruno walked in with coffee and bagels. He froze when he saw Dad, then carefully set the breakfast down. I should give you two some privacy, he said. No, Dad stood up. Stay, please. You're part of this family too, or at least you will be, if you still want to be, after everything we've put Esther through. Bruno moved to stand behind my chair, his hand resting supportively on my shoulder. I love your daughter, sir. Nothing your other daughter did changes that. Sofia's been fired from her job, Dad said suddenly. Apparently, she had a complete meltdown at work yesterday. Started screaming at a client who was wearing an engagement ring. That's not my problem, I said firmly. No, it's not, Dad agreed, surprising me. Just like it wasn't your problem when she crashed your car in college, or when she borrowed money from your savings account last year. We always made it your problem, didn't we? I felt tears threatening, but held them back. You and Mom always said I needed to protect her, to understand her. We were wrong. Dad's voice cracked. We failed both of you. We failed Sofia by never teaching her consequences. And we failed you by making you responsible for her actions. A knock at the door interrupted us. Bruno answered it, revealing Mom and Sofia standing there. Family intervention, Sofia announced, pushing past Bruno. She'd clearly been crying, but there was a manic energy to her movements. We're fixing this right now. There's nothing to fix. I stood up. You need to leave. No. Sofia planted herself in the middle of my living room. This has gone on long enough. Zane won't answer my calls. I lost my job, and it's all because you couldn't just let me be happy. Sofia, Dad's voice held a warning, but she ignored him. You've always been jealous of me, she continued. You couldn't stand that Zane might love me more than Bruno loves you. That's enough. Dad's shout made us all jump. Sofia, stop talking, right now. But Daddy, I said stop. He turned to face her fully. Do you have any idea what you've done? You committed a crime. You betrayed your sister. You lied to a man you claimed to love. And now you're standing here, still trying to make yourself the victim. Mom stepped forward. Lamar, please. She's hurting. Of course she's hurting. Dad threw up his hands. Actions have consequences. Something we should have taught her 20 years ago. Sofia burst into tears. I just wanted what Esther has. Is that so wrong? Then you should have earned it, Bruno spoke up, his voice firm but kind. Instead, you tried to steal it. There's a big difference. Get out, I said quietly. All of you. I'm done with this conversation, this drama, all of it. Esther, Mom pleaded. We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't enable theft and lies. Family doesn't show up uninvited to make more demands. Sofia lunged forward suddenly, grabbing my purse from the coffee table. Where's the ring? Give it back. Bruno moved quickly, taking the purse from her hands while Dad pulled her back. That's it, Dad said, his face red with anger. We're leaving, now. But, now Sofia. He turned to me, still holding Sofia's arm. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, for everything. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'd like to try to make things right. As they left, I could hear Sofia's hysterical sobs echoing down the hallway, Mom's soothing murmurs, and Dad's heavy footsteps. Bruno pulled me into a hug. You okay? Actually, yeah. I looked up at him. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm seeing my family clearly, and I'm not responsible for fixing their mess anymore. Your dad seems to be waking up. Maybe, I sighed. But it's too little. Too late. Some things can't be fixed with apologies. Bruno kissed my forehead. So what now? I looked around at the half-packed boxes, at the life we were building together. Now we move forward. Without the drama, without the guilt, without Sofia's chaos. And your parents. They made their choice a long time ago, I said. Now they have to live with it. 2 weeks passed. My ring was restored to its original setting. Bruno and I moved into our new apartment, and I hadn't heard a word from Sofia. But peace never lasts long in my family. I was sorting through mail when I found it, a glossy wedding magazine, with my name on the subscription label. Inside was a post-it note, in my mother's elegant handwriting. Please call me, we need to talk. My phone rang as if on cue. Kimberly's name flashed on the screen. Turn on your Instagram right now, she said without greeting. Hello to you too, I laughed, opening the app. Just look at Sofia's latest post. My stomach dropped as I saw it. A photo of Sofia in a wedding dress, standing in what looked like a bridal boutique. The caption read, "Sometimes the worst betrayals lead you to your best decisions. Wedding planning starts now." New chapter, keep moving on. Is she serious? I asked Kimberly. She's not even dating anyone. Keep scrolling. The next post was worse. A close-up of Sofia's hand, wearing a new ring. Smaller than mine, but still impressive. The caption, "When someone better comes along and shows you what real love looks like. Thank you for saving me from settling, sis." Upgraded, Jacques, better than ever. My phone buzzed with another call. Mom. Against my better judgment, I switched over. Did you see? She asked immediately. Sofia's delusional Instagram posts. Yeah, I saw. She's not delusional, Mom said carefully. She's been seeing someone. A friend of your father's business partner. He's well established. You mean he's rich and desperate enough to date someone who just got exposed for theft? Esther, please. Marcus is good for her. He's helping her get back on her feet. I laughed. Of course he is. And I'm sure you and Dad had nothing to do with setting this up. Actually, Mom's voice hardened. Your father refuses to meet him. He's still struggling with everything that happened. A knock at my door interrupted us. I opened it to find Dad standing there, looking uncomfortable. I'll call you back, I told Mom, hanging up before she could protest. Hi, Dad said, shifting his weight. Can we talk? I let him in, noticing how he'd aged in just 2 weeks. The confident businessman was gone, replaced by someone who looked lost. Sofia's getting married again, he said, sitting heavily on my couch. So I heard. To your business partner's friend, Marcus. Dad spat the name like it tasted bad. Your mother thinks it's wonderful. I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. Why are you here, Dad? He pulled out his phone, showing me a text from Sofia. Daddy, please give Marcus a chance. He's nothing like Zane. He understands me. Mom says you're just being difficult. Don't you want me to be happy? She's doing it again, he said quietly. Manipulating, pushing, trying to force everyone to accept her choices without question. But this time I see it. Too little, too late. I muttered. I know. He looked up at me. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand how I let things get so bad, how I failed you both so completely. That surprised me. You're in therapy? Twice a week, your mother refuses to go, says there's nothing wrong with how we raised you girls. He laughed bitterly. But there was, wasn't there? We created this mess. My phone buzzed again. A text from Kimberly with a screenshot. Sofia had posted another photo, this time of her and a middle-aged man I assumed was Marcus, captioned, "When you upgrade from a boy to a man, sorry not sorry. BT, living my best life." I showed it to Dad, who closed his eyes in pain. She tagged Zane in it, I said. She's trying to hurt him. Of course she is. It's what she does when she doesn't get her way. Dad stood up suddenly. I'm selling my share of the business. What? Why? Because Marcus works there. Because I can't stand watching your mother and sister manipulate another man into their web of lies. Because I need to start over somehow. I studied him carefully. And what about Sofia's wedding? What wedding? He smiled sadly. She met this man 2 weeks ago. She's putting on a show, trying to prove she's won somehow. And your mother's enabling it, just like always. My phone lit up with another text, this time from Sofia. Hope you're happy with your boring life and basic ring. Marcus bought me a real diamond. Guess some men just know how to treat their women right. I showed Dad the message. He read it, then did something I'd never seen him do before. He cried. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I'm so damn sorry. I watched him break down, this man who had always seemed unshakable, and felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, exactly, but understanding. Dad, I said softly, would you like to stay for dinner? Bruno's making lasagna. He wiped his eyes, nodding. I'd like that. I'd like that very much. The annual family charity gala wasn't something I planned to attend, but when Dad called and said he needed moral support, I couldn't say no. Bruno adjusted my necklace as we walked into the hotel ballroom, squeezing my hand reassuringly. Remember, he whispered, we can leave anytime. I spotted Sofia immediately, hard to miss, in a red dress that cost more than my monthly rent. Marcus's hand possessively on her waist. Mom hovered nearby, beaming with pride as she introduced them to everyone. Esther, Mom's voice carried across the room. Come meet Marcus properly. Here we go, I muttered. But Bruno guided me forward with a steady hand. Marcus looked exactly like his Instagram photos. Silver-haired, expensive suit, 2 white teeth. He extended his hand. The famous sister, Sofia's told me so much about you. Has she? I smiled tightly. All good things, I'm sure. Of course, Sofia giggled, pressing herself against Marcus. I was just telling him how you inspired me to upgrade my life. Everything happens for a reason, right? Speaking of reasons, Marcus smiled at my parents. Sofia and I have an announcement to make. Dad appeared beside me, his face tight. An announcement? Marcus, baby. Sofia cooed. Not yet. We agreed to wait. I can't wait another minute. Marcus clinked his glass, gathering everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of announcing that in 3 weeks, Sofia will become my wife. The room erupted in applause. Mom rushed forward to hug them both. But Dad stayed rooted beside me. 3 weeks, Bruno whispered. That's insane, I finished. We're having a small destination wedding in the Maldives, Sofia announced. Very exclusive. Family only, of course. She looked directly at me. Well, some family. Sofia, Dad's voice held a warning. What? She blinked innocently. I just think it's best to keep things intimate. After all, some people might not approve of my happiness. You mean some people might tell Marcus about your history of theft? I said quietly. The color drained from Sofia's face. Marcus frowned. Theft? What theft? Nothing. Mom stepped in quickly. Just sisters being sisters. Marcus, let me introduce you to the board members. As Mom whisked them away, Dad turned to me. I'm not going to the wedding. Dad, no, this is wrong. He's twice her age. They barely know each other. And your mother? He took a shaky breath. Your mother's already talking about how his money will solve all of Sofia's problems. A commotion near the entrance drew our attention. Zane stood there, looking sharp in a suit, his new girlfriend beside him. Oh God, Bruno muttered. Sofia's screech cut through the murmur of conversations. What is he doing here? He's still my business partner's son, Dad said firmly. He has every right to be here. Sofia stormed over to us, Marcus trailing behind, looking confused. Daddy, make him leave. No. What do you mean, no? She stamped her foot like a child. After what he did to me. After what you did to him, I corrected. You stole my ring, lied to him, and then tried to publicly humiliate him on social media. What ring? Marcus asked. Sofia, what are they talking about? Mom appeared as if by magic. Nothing important, Marcus. Ancient history. No, I said loudly, drawing attention from nearby guests. Not ancient history. 3 months ago, Sofia stole my engagement ring and tried to pass it off as her own. When she got caught, she had a public meltdown and lost her job. Marcus stepped back from Sofia. Is this true? They're lying. Sofia's voice rose hysterically. They're just jealous because you're successful and rich and old enough to be your father, Dad cut in. And desperate enough to propose to someone he's known for 2 weeks? Lamar, Mom gasped. No, Josephine, I'm done pretending. Dad turned to Marcus. My daughter is a thief and a liar. My wife enables her. And you, sir, are either very naive or very foolish. The room had gone silent. Sofia's mascara ran down her cheeks as she looked wildly around. Marcus, baby, don't listen to them. They're trying to ruin us like they ruined me and Zane. But Marcus was already backing away, his face a mask of disgust. I think I need some air. No. Sofia grabbed his arm. You promised me a villa in Monaco. You said what? Marcus jerked away. That I'd save you, fix you. I think I've heard enough. As Marcus strode out of the ballroom, Sofia collapsed into dramatic sobs. Mom rushed to comfort her, shooting daggers at Dad and me. Well, Bruno said quietly, I guess the wedding's off. Dad laughed, a real, genuine laugh I hadn't heard in years. Come on. Let's get out of here, before your mother decides this is somehow my fault too. As we left, I heard Sofia's wails echoing behind us. But for the first time, the sound didn't fill me with guilt or obligation. It just reminded me how far I'd come from being the sister who always had to fix everything. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. I stood in the bridal suite, Kimberly adjusting my veil, when a knock at the door made us both freeze. Esther, Dad's voice. Someone's here to see you. I opened the door to find Dad standing there with Mom, who looked smaller somehow, more fragile than I remembered. 5 minutes, Dad said softly. That's all she's asking for. Kimberly squeezed my shoulder. I'll be right outside if you need me. Once we were alone, Mom stepped forward, twisting her hands together. You look beautiful. Thank you. I stayed by the door, ready to escape if needed. Sofia's in rehab, she said abruptly. After the gala, after everything, she had a breakdown. Real one this time, not just for show. I heard. Dad told me. Did he tell you I'm seeing his therapist too? That surprised me. No, he didn't. It's hard. Mom's voice cracked. Looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing you've been the villain in your own daughter's story. That everything you thought you were doing out of love was actually destroying both your children. I didn't respond, waiting. Sofia's therapist asked her to write letters to everyone she's hurt. Her letter to you. Mom pulled an envelope from her purse. She wanted me to give you this, but she also said she understands if you never read it. I took the envelope, feeling its weight. Is that why you're here? To deliver Sofia's letter? No. Mom straightened her spine. I'm here to deliver my own apology. Not in a letter. You deserve to hear it face to face. Mom, please. She held up her hand. Let me say this. I failed you, Esther. I failed you every time I made excuses for Sofia, every time I put her wants above your needs, every time I made you feel like being responsible and honest somehow made you less special. Tears spilled down her cheeks, smearing her perfect makeup. I was so focused on protecting Sofia that I never protected you. From her, from my own bias, from the unfair burden we placed on you. And I am so sorry. I felt my own eyes welling up. Why now? Because I finally understand what I lost. My relationship with you, your trust, the chance to be part of your life, your marriage, your future family. She wiped her eyes. And because for the first time, I'm not here to ask for anything. I just needed you to know that I know what I did wrong. The door cracked open. Bruno peeking in. Sorry to interrupt, but we're almost ready to start. Mom nodded, gathering herself. Of course, I'll go find my seat. Unless you'd rather I leave? I looked at her, really looked at her. The designer outfit was the same, but something in her eyes was different. Humbler, more real. Stay, I said softly. But Mom, this doesn't fix everything. I know, she smiled sadly, but maybe it's a start. After she left, Bruno pulled me close. You okay? Yeah. I touched Sofia's unopened letter. I think I actually am. Want to know a secret? He grinned. Your dad's been taking dance lessons for weeks. He's determined not to mess up the father-daughter dance. I laughed, picturing my straight-laced father in dance class. He's really trying, isn't he? They both are. Bruno kissed my forehead. Ready to get married? I set Sofia's letter aside. I'd read it eventually, but not today. Today was about moving forward, not looking back. Actually, I straightened my veil. There's something I need to do first. I found Dad pacing in the hallway, muttering dance steps under his breath. Dad, he turned, eyes brightening. You look perfect. Walk me down the aisle? He offered his arm, then hesitated. You know, all those years I spent enabling Sofia, trying to keep the peace, I forgot what real strength looks like. But you reminded me. You stood up for what was right, even when it cost you everything. Not everything. I took his arm. I gained something too. A father who finally sees me. The music started, our cue to begin. As we walked toward Bruno, I caught Mom's eye in the audience. She smiled tentatively, and I found myself smiling back. Some things couldn't be fixed with apologies and letters. Some relationships would never be the same. But standing there, surrounded by people who had learned the hard way what real love looks like, I realized something important. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about forgetting the past. It's about building a better future, one honest moment at a time. Ready? Dad whispered as we reached the altar. I squeezed his arm, looking ahead at Bruno, at our future. More than ready.